Do you think that's why there's a lot more American top competitors? Knowing that the Olympia's here and also, what Joey created here in America?
Oh, I
Or do
think
you think fitness overseas you know, is bigger, but we just don't, we're not really seeing it?
it's really hard to. I mean, listen, I've traveled overseas enough now, and I feel that the gyms aren't as well equipped. I feel the food potential isn't as much. Hence, that why most of these guys come over and they end up training here. I mean, Flex Lewis moved here for a reason from the UK. I mean, he was from Wales. You had Dennis Wolf that came from Germany. Why else would he come? I mean, he wanted to be where he thought it was more relative to what he's trying to do. The Olympia is held here, the biggest shows in the world. The biggest Arnold Classic is held here. Why not train in the atmospheres, not have to travel as far, because travel has a lot to do with how the body reacts. Be in the same cultures as what the ultimate title holds. I mean, when you have the ultimate title every year in the same place, of course it's more beneficial to be closer to that place, because the closer you are, the more advantage you have to winning that. When you have to travel from afar, it makes it very difficult to get on a plane and come out here, grab your title, and then you go back home into wherever it is, considered nowhere to a lot of people, because if you're not in the mix, you're out of sight, out of mind. There's a lot that goes to just winning a fitness or a bodybuilding show. Remember, you have to be visible too. I mean, today's social media channels, you can't be training in a hole somewhere and just sign off for the whole year and then get back on once the show comes out. I mean, there's a lot of building a fan base and building the prestige as the ultimate champion that goes along, other than just winning the titles. So I think the U.S. is probably the best place to be since the biggest titles are here. I mean, there's a reason I'm in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I came here to win the Mr. Olympia.
And you just stayed.
I stayed. But I was going to train in the same climate. I was going to train in the same gyms and be as. I mean, even before the show, even when I didn't live here, I'd still come out in a week and a half. All these guys come a week prior. They're here already on a Saturday or Sunday. They don't need to be, but they're trying to get into the dry air and figure out what their bodies are going to do. It's very difficult to do that. I mean, you have to help your body adjust. Flying does a lot, and being in different climates changes a lot.
Now, obviously, you and Ronnie went through the other battle, right? And it was like very dramatic. And it was kind of like one of those things where it was good for the sport. It's nowadays, I mean, even with the growth and expansion of it, it seems like that's become less and less. But there's a lot of trash talking per se. There's more of people on the internet, trash talking this and that. But it's not more. They're not more showing it on the stage like what you and Ronnie did. Do you think, based on that current state, is that a good thing with the trash talk? Because it seems like a lot of trash talk, In your opinion, what is that?
I think the internet has given people a voice that really shouldn't have a voice, and that's the difference between the Ronnie and era and now. Is we were talking through magazines, and the magazines tend to make everyone look like a champ. There's no magazine articles that wrote how terrible a person someone is or how weak their body parts were, right? They always made anyone that was featured in a magazine in an article uh, always looked great, except maybe for shows. Okay, if someone was off, they mentioned they were off. But if you were featured in the magazines, which Ronnie and I were both featured a lot, we had a lot of commentary in there. There was a mutual respect. I think we both were at the level, but we backed it up every year because we were 1 and 2 for a lot of years. Nowadays, the guys that are 10th or 11th are still talking trash, and the guys that are 1st and 2nd, because they're given more. They can go on their social media and say whatever they want. There's no restrictions on that, and it's definitely hurt. It's hurt a lot of things, because those people shouldn't be given a voice to try to talk their way to the top. Let the body do the talking. And I feel that trash talk is okay, but there's a time and a place for it, not, hidden in your basement somewhere or hitting from, miles away from what's going on. There's a lot of interviews where people are calling people out that really shouldn't be calling people out, because till you stand side by side and you had the battles like Ronnie and I had, we could have talked trash about each other all the time. I mean, you read about the certain things, they stand out in your mind, but the truth is like, he knew I was coming for him and I knew he was coming for me, and it was going to be us two standing at the end. We already knew. We didn't worry about anyone else. And I don't think, we necessarily even worried about each other that much. I was just trying to be my absolute best, and I knew in time my absolute best would be better than his. I just hoped every year that Ronnie would come in somewhat off, and I'm sure he hoped the same thing with me, so he didn't have to worry about how clear-cut the victory would be. And I'm not for trash talk. I never was. I think it's a little outrageous, but listen, everyone has a platform to speak on. Some people have a bigger platform, meaning they have a bigger audience to speak to, and some guys, that's what they're known for. I mean, if they want to create chaos and they want to create drama and hype the show a little bit, that's always decent too. I mean, you got to have some hype to the show. I mean, if no one says anything, then it's really bad, because no one talks about the show. And I feel this year's Olympia, like, there's not a lot of trash talk going on between the top contenders. I mean, what does Rami put out? Phil Heath. I just interviewed Sean Road, and he gave some opinions on why he's going to win. I don't see Dexter saying anything. I don't hear anything about Rolly. William Bonnick's not talking. Nathan the Asher is a little bit. But, he's trying to make his mark, and he's going to be a front runner at the show, in my opinion. So there's not a lot of talk, and a lot of it's maybe maturity. But, I think the days of the pre-hype for the Olympia, like, Phil hasn't done any interviews like where they've asked him, well, what are you bringing different? That's what's going to make it exciting at the press conference. And that's what's going to make it exciting closer to the show, and hear what he has to say after and what his mindset was training for the show. It's just his choice. I mean, I don't necessarily think I would do it the same way, but I'm not the current champion, and nor am I going to tell the current champion, what he needs to do, because obviously he knows what he's doing. He's doing it right.